Hello, welcome back to Emily Creates. Today I'd like to talk about my transferable skills from health and social care into user experience design. And I just want to make it clear that my mission for this channel is to give some hope to those that are in jobs that they're finding very difficult, that they're not feeling that they're meeting their potential, they're feeling that they could give more. And that's definitely not me saying that I didn't get anything from working in health and social care. I actually gained so much knowledge, experience, and it moulded me as a person. But there's a stage in everyone's life when they feel they need to move on, and that was the stage I was at, and I imagine other people will get to that stage at some point as well. So I felt that if I had watched someone on YouTube and they had actually been able to give examples of how they'd been in a similar situation and how they'd been able to move out of that area of work and move on, that would have really helped me. So that's what I hope to give to my viewers. So my transferable skills, which many people will have from working in areas like healthcare or other customer-facing roles. So the first one, which people often think about when it comes to healthcare, that you might hopefully possess, is empathy. And until I was on the bootcamp course about InDesign, I wasn't really aware how important empathy is. But working with users and developing products that the user will enjoy using, that is intuitive and like a user experience that the user doesn't even think about, that means it's good design, because there's no critique, it just works. And that can only be designed when the user's understood by the designer. So I feel that I would be able to have those conversations with users to really get to the root of what they want from an app and what would make it the app they would really connect with, or perhaps not connect with, perhaps just it would be useful, and that's enough. I've combined another one in there without meaning to, about effective communication. So in healthcare that is paramount, and also in design you need to be able to communicate with your colleagues. So you're often not going to be a designer designing on your own. There's going to be a design team of user interface, user experience designers, and different levels of those sorts of designers. So it's really important in the ideation stages to be able to voice your opinion and hear other people's ideas, and be able to, you don't have to agree with their idea, but at that point of ideation you have to be able to hear all ideas, your own and other people's, and consider them all as options, because often people think, this isn't that great an idea, but in some group work where we built a prototype for an audiobook app, there were some ideas that we thought of that we thought, I don't know if that will really work. But as we were rightly told by our lecturer, that don't get rid of any idea, any work that you do, because it could come in helpful. And yeah, there were some ideas that we had that we thought, will it fit? That actually did fit into our work, and we're really glad that we held on to those ideas. Then we go on to written communication. So this is really important when in healthcare, of course, when you're writing patient notes, when you're recording notes of a visit or those sorts of things, and also communicating with patients. So that's really important because you're communicating with vulnerable people often, and people of different ages. So perhaps what you might say to an 18-year-old, you wouldn't say to an 80-year-old. So you have to adapt, of course, how you would communicate, and also you would adapt how you communicate depending on that person's circumstances, not just their protected characteristics. And written communication is really important in terms of what I was just saying about ideas. So being able to effectively communicate your ideas in post-it notes for the ideation stage, for example, and being able to write concisely in a way that it really puts your point across. And then we move on to a couple of experiences or things I did in my past jobs that I feel I used my transferable skills, and also they are things that I feel I could implement in a design role. So, firstly, in my social prescribing role, I devised a marketing strategy for my primary care network. So that's a group of GP surgeries that I was a social prescriber for. So when I first arrived there, they hadn't had a set social prescriber. There had been a group of social prescribers that had gone out to different surgeries, but there wasn't one allocated to a group of surgeries due to funding and those sorts of things. But that changed, so I ended up going to work there. And initially I had very few referrals from practice staff, so anyone could refer: GPs, receptionists, nurses, pharmacists, anybody. And also patients could self-refer. And so I had to think, right, if we're thinking about it from a design point of view, I was thinking, right, I've got my users, which are the practice staff and the patients. So I need to be able to reach them in a way that they're going to trust me. I want the patient and the members of practice staff to trust me, and in a way to show that my work will benefit the patient. Otherwise, why would they bother? So what I decided to do was attend coffee mornings as regularly as possible at these surgeries and build the professional relationships with the practice staff when possible. So that was via instant messages, that was via notifications, emails, but the main thing that really built up my referrals was filming videos of me talking through case studies of patients that I worked with. So I would talk about them and not the patient anonymously, of course, to protect them, but I would talk about how the patient was when they came to me, and then talk about how that progressed. So through our, for example, 3 sessions. On the first session this happened, then I told the patient about these resources, these services. They weren't able to engage with this, but they were able to engage with that, and the outcomes of that. And I tried to do that I tried to film the videos in a short space of time because, of course, practice staff were extremely busy, but also not so concise that I wasn't giving them valuable information. And I got some really positive feedback from that, and the practice staff felt like they could trust me with their patients. So in that first quarter I was there, from building up these marketing strategies, I had the highest number of referrals in the whole of the county, so it worked well. I also put up posters and that sort of thing. And then, in my role as a support worker, I was involved in the development of an app. So the app was developed because we were support workers that were visiting people in their homes, and we were only able to write our notes and put our outcomes onto the CRM system by having internet connection on our laptops or being in the office. So it was not very accessible, and the company wanted to make it easier for us to complete our notes and outcomes on the go, so that we wouldn't have to get to the end of the day and write it up, or have to go to an office or wait until we got home out of work hours. So I worked with the development team about designing this app and provided feedback to the developers. So they brought the app out. It was over the time that it was built, I was involved in the process because I showed interest. I provided individual feedback and also group feedback from others in my team. So I worked with the users and the developers to kind of make sure that it worked on both sides. And that was a really interesting project to be a part of. It was a project that the other support workers, the users, including myself, found quite difficult to start getting in a habit of using. I really liked it because I'd been a part of the process. But yeah, it took the rest of the team a while to get used to it. But yeah, if they ever had a problem with it, they just came to me and spoke about it. And then if there was a problem, like if it was a problem that they didn't understand how to use a particular feature, then I would help them with it and talk them through it. If they felt there was something fundamentally wrong with the workings of the app, then I would go back to the developers, the designers and developers, and talk about if anything could be changed. Because there was a period of time where they were happy to make adjustments. But yeah, it was a brilliant project to be a part of, and I feel like it has been an experience that has set me up for my design career. So yeah, I hope that's been helpful to talk about how some of these skills that we have in other industries and other careers can be transferable and can help us become great designers. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.